Hi there, I'm Alva. I'm back with my video blog, HowIMetYourFather.life. I wanted to sound off on a couple more things that I think people should know about New Orleans, especially as it relates to New York City, which is the city I live in. One of the things that I was really impressed with in New Orleans was the NPR station. I think it's WWNO is the NPR station in New Orleans. Whoa, night and day from WNYC in New York City. WNYC is just non-stop talk till your ears fall off. Kind of just no balance, no texture, no local stories, no community, real voices, but just a lot of talk, a lot of hot air. New Orleans, on the other hand, WWNO, sure, they've got, the typical morning edition, they've got All Things Considered, but in between, they balance it out with some interesting, news programs about the history of New Orleans, the culture of New Orleans, things I didn't even know about. They had one author who, translated this book from French about, the whole kind of racial caste system and stuff, and I was just like, whoa, I've never heard this before. Really informative, really historical program, historically minded, historical programming, programming about history of New Orleans, which is fascinating in and of itself, but some really good stuff. Just in the middle of the day, just to break up the monotony of nonstop news, nonstop Trump, nonstop politics, nonstop, whatever controversies they talk about on WNYC, sure, they get into that on WWNO, but it's just a really refreshing change from when I used to listen to WNYC. I was an intern at WNYC. I wasn't super crazy about that internship. They paid me about $10 a day when I was an intern there to pay for my car fare, and maybe a coffee is really about all I was paid when I was an intern at WNYC, New York's NPR station. But I don't know what they pay their interns at WWNO, but I will just say the programming is far superior. There's a lot of music and a lot of programming that's not from the WNYC station. When you listen to WNYC, you have the feeling that everybody across the country listens to WNYC programming. That's not the case on WWNO. They've got programming from Philadelphia, they've got programming from the Bay Area, they've got programming from AMU and DC. They mix it up from all over the country to have a really balanced radio kind of just program that is, has to compete with WWOZ, which is the big music station for all the music fans down there because it's a big music town. They've got to do something to kind of hold their audiences against WOZ, which everybody just across the globe raves about. So understandably, they have to just have, programming that matches or at least holds people's interest if they're going to listen to radio at all in New Orleans. So I think that's why they have to kind of break up a lot of the hot air that WNYC depends on with a lot of cultural programming, but historical cultural programming. Really good stuff, the WWNO NPR station in New Orleans. Another thing I will say about New Orleans is just looking very superficially at how the mayors have been treating the pandemic and their social media presence and their media appearances since, say, March of last year and March of this year. Where the hell is Bill de Blasio? When was the last time he posted anything on social media congratulating new businesses for starting in New York City? I don't recall. Mayor LaToya Cantrell every other day is there's a new juice place that, this New Orleans Saints player just opened up on St. Charles. Everybody should go check it out. Rah, 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 small business in New Orleans. Yeah, we're in a pandemic, but we're still open for business. We're still trying to keep jobs. We still have, we've got a lot of work to do, but yeah, people are still investing in our city, and I'm going to cheerlead them to, to the end of the earth, because I'm the mayor and I'm Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Have you ever seen Bill de Blasio raise a finger for small business on his social media in any media platform whatsoever? No, never, nada. There was a hint that a celebrity player, I don't even remember his name, but he's married to Ciara. Whoever the NFL player who is married to the singer Ciara might be coming to the Saints. She put on like full court press on her Instagram and on her social media to be like, the Saints are welcoming you with open arms. Like, that's how in tune she is with the community in New Orleans. She had like a whole big like routine and like a speech prepared to like encourage this NFL player who's married to Ciara to come and join the New Orleans Saints. When has Bill DeBlandio ever cared about a Jets player, a Giants player, a Knicks player, or a Nets player? Never, ever have I seen him ever raise a finger for any of those types of people. More to the point, anybody walking around New York City, especially Manhattan, has to be startled by the fact that there are a lot of empty storefronts around town, like a lot of them. And I don't think it's just due to COVID, because there are other places around the country where there are bustling storefronts. People still need services. And granted, people need to be safe. Granted, people need to adhere to social distancing guidelines. People need to get vaccinated. People need to wear masks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying 14th Street is a ghost town. 8th Street is a ghost town. Parts of the Wall Street area are ghost towns because they're all for rent storefronts all across the city. What the hell has Bill DeBlandio been doing for these businesses that were once like bustling little areas around office districts? It can't just be because of the pandemic, because that's been going on since before the pandemic. What is Bill DeBlandio doing to save small businesses in New York? At first glance, and I'm not saying I've done some deep research into this, but I'm a little concerned. I just didn't expect to see so many empty storefronts on 14th Street, for crying out loud. And they can't blame the subway repairs on that because they curtailed those subway repairs, and there's still a lot of people who kind of walk along that way to go, do whatever they do on 14th Street. There's still plenty of like big major shops on 18th Street, like it's still a major thoroughfare. Why doesn't Bill DeBlandio ever cheerlead small businesses in New York? It looks like they're just leaving in droves. Like, there are major areas across Manhattan that were once like bustling little areas. I swear to God, walk along the Village and it's like a ghost town. No small businesses left, just for rent, for lease. These were like the fanciest, poshest areas. There's no reason for these things to be empty. Like, I know it's a pandemic, but he's not doing anything to even like cheerlead them on. Like every other post on Mayor Cantrell's Instagram is, support this small business. I'm doing this to help homeowners keep their homes. I'm doing this and this. I'm holding myself accountable on social media. So everybody who follows me on social media knows exactly where I stand in terms of supporting a city through this healthcare emergency. Where is Bill DeBlandio? It's like, where's Waldo? Like, the mayor's office, social media, I never see them kind of just with their photos and their video and their press conferences lifting a finger, doing anything out of the ordinary to help small businesses, to cheer on new businesses, to cheer on new players that might be considering New York as a stop, in their career. Like, nothing. He's out to lunch, Bill DeBlandio, from what I can see. More to the point, when it comes to New York, I still stand by what I've said before. It's not really a city for students the way it was when I was in school. I went to NYU before 9/11. I was paying $600, my share of an apartment on Thompson Street in Soho before 9/11. $600 a month. My share of a 2-bedroom apartment that was $1,200 a month in Soho as an NYU student before 9/11. Let that sink in. If rent prices were the same back then as they are now, sure, I'd say students come to New York in droves. This is the town for you. But guess what? You're lucky if you can find a freaking closet in Bushwick for that amount. And you won't, because they'll probably expect sexual favors and like shoot you up with like fentanyl if you accept a kind of place like that in Bushwick. So hell no is New York a place for students. What I keep telling people to do is avoid the egos of film school. Avoid the egos of journalism school. Go to freaking New Mexico. Invest in like $5,000 of video and audio equipment. You can really get good deals, even if you shop, especially if you shop at the used store at B&H. Like, don't buy them from Amazon and get them shipped to you. Literally come to New York just to go to B&H in the used store. Get some decent equipment. Teach yourself how to use it. There are tons of tutorials on lynda.com. Go to fucking New Mexico. Cover the Native American population there. Get to know them. I'm sure they'd be thrilled to have like eager people who are sincere and authentic and respectful, and get to know them. Write for the local paper in New Mexico. Write for the local paper in Nevada. Write for the local paper in Montana, in Idaho, in Colorado, somewhere, not New York, where the standard of living, where the cost of living is a lot lower. And like, cover freaking Native Americans. That's a population no one knows that much about, but people are clamoring to know. I'm sure they've got great stories. I'm sure they're constantly overlooked by places like CNN and NBC, and that's where you come in, young, eager journalists who are looking at journalism school in New York City. If you're that eager to learn journalism, I guarantee you 3 years in New Mexico covering Native Americans like the Navajo are going to get you better clips, better short films than any graduate from Columbia, NYU, or CUNY. I guarantee you. Just saying. I think that's about all I have to say for now.